Welcome to the Bare Metal Cyber CCISO Prepcast. This series helps you prepare for the exam with focused explanations and practical context. The Certified Chief Information Security Officer exam includes 150 questions, each crafted to assess knowledge across multiple areas of executive cybersecurity leadership. Candidates are given a total of 2.5 hours to complete the exam. This timeframe requires both careful pacing and confidence in decision-making. The exam uses a blend of question types, including straightforward conceptual items and scenario-based challenges that simulate real-world executive decision-making. All questions contribute to a final score, and the exam is delivered in a computer-based format, offering flexibility and accessibility to candidates in various regions. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other podcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Understanding how the 5 domains are distributed and weighted on the exam is essential for targeted preparation. Each domain represents a portion of the total score, and their weightings influence how much attention should be given to each one during study. Domains such as governance and risk management are often emphasized more heavily, meaning candidates must prioritize these areas if they hope to achieve a strong result. In some cases, questions may reference more than one domain at once, testing how well a candidate understands the relationships between different areas of responsibility. Recognizing how domain emphasis affects exam strategy helps candidates focus where it matters most and avoid wasted effort. The exam is designed to test 3 key cognitive levels: knowledge, application, and analysis. Knowledge refers to understanding foundational facts, such as definitions and standard procedures. Application questions test whether the candidate can use that knowledge in practical contexts, such as making a policy decision or reviewing a risk report. Analysis questions go deeper, asking candidates to evaluate situations, interpret complex scenarios, and select the most appropriate course of action. These levels are especially important at the executive level because decision-making requires more than memorization. It demands clear thinking under pressure and the ability to connect information to outcomes. EC Council expects mastery of these levels across all 5 domains, ensuring candidates are ready for the full spectrum of leadership challenges. Higher-order questions on the exam differ from those found in more technical or operational certifications. Instead of asking for the name of a protocol or the definition of a control type, these questions present an organizational situation and ask what the CSO should do next. Candidates must not only understand the issue but also interpret it in context and recommend a solution that balances business needs, regulatory constraints, and organizational risk appetite. This type of question reflects the real expectations of an executive role. The exam is built to test reasoning that aligns with the daily decisions a CSO must make. One important skill on the CCISO exam is understanding how questions are framed to evaluate decision-making. Scenario-based questions are not just about knowledge. They are designed to reveal how a candidate thinks. Many will focus on risk prioritization, asking which of several options should be addressed first. Often, the wording of the question includes subtle cues that reveal the intent, such as phrases like most appropriate, initial response, or strategic objective. Recognizing these cues is critical. Recognizing the question can lead to wrong answers, even if the candidate knows the material. Common mistakes include jumping to conclusions without reading all options, or failing to recognize which details are most relevant. Success depends on being able to quickly assess the situation, identify the goal, and match the best answer to the question's actual focus. Strategic decision-making questions on the exam tend to involve complex scenarios with several moving parts. These questions may include conflicting goals, multiple stakeholders, or incomplete information. The purpose is to test whether the candidate can make sound decisions under pressure. In these situations, executive judgment matters more than technical precision. Context is key, and candidates must weigh various factors to identify the most business-linked solution. Sometimes, the best answer spans more than one domain, requiring the candidate to apply knowledge from areas like governance and risk at the same time. Distractors are also used, plausible-sounding choices that seem right but are not the best strategic fit. These are meant to test whether the candidate can look past surface-level correctness and focus on the true priority. Risk prioritization is a major theme throughout the exam, and some questions are built specifically to test this executive function. Candidates are given a list of possible risks or issues and asked to choose the one that should be addressed first. All the options may seem important, but only one reflects the highest immediate concern based on business impact or regulatory obligation. These questions require candidates to balance short-term mitigation efforts against long-term strategic goals. They must also consider how actions align with business operations and stakeholder expectations. It is not just about fixing what is broken, it is about addressing what matters most to the organization as a whole. Choosing the correct priority demonstrates the kind of judgment expected at the CISO level. Business alignment plays a key role in many risk prioritization questions. Candidates must show that they understand how security decisions impact overall organizational performance. A technically sound answer might still be wrong if it disrupts critical business functions or ignores compliance requirements. The exam rewards candidates who demonstrate that they can think like a business leader, not just a security expert. Responses that reflect an understanding of business impact, legal exposure, and operational continuity are more likely to be correct than those that focus only on technical detail. Some of the most difficult questions on the exam require integration of knowledge across multiple domains. These questions may begin in one domain, such as governance, and then introduce elements from risk, compliance, or strategy. This structure forces candidates to think holistically. It is not enough to know isolated facts. Candidates must synthesize information from several areas to find the best answer. For example, a question about implementing a new security framework might also ask about budgeting, stakeholder communication, and vendor evaluation. Each part draws from a different domain, but all contribute to the correct decision. This kind of thinking mirrors what a real-world CISO must do every day. To handle integrated questions, candidates must understand how the domains connect. Governance affects risk appetite, which in turn affects compliance strategy and control selection. Recognizing these interdependencies allows candidates to approach questions from a broader perspective. Effective study includes learning not only each domain, but also how domains influence each other in practice. By doing so, candidates prepare themselves for the most complex scenarios the exam can offer. The highest scores often go to those who can demonstrate this kind of integrated executive thinking. Cognitive mastery is about moving beyond memorization and into thoughtful analysis. Basic knowledge questions might ask what a term means, but analysis questions require evaluating a situation and making a decision. For example, knowing the definition of a risk register is different from knowing when and how to update it based on changing business conditions. The CCISO exam includes questions that force this transition, helping EC Counsel evaluate not just what candidates know, but how they think. Those who succeed have learned to look at a situation, assess its context, and select the best course of action based on a range of variables. To develop strong analytical skills, candidates should practice with scenarios that mirror real executive challenges. These might include case studies, simulations, or detailed question banks that explore executive reasoning. Self-assessment can also help. Candidates should reflect on their current approach to decision-making and identify where they rely too heavily on memory or routine. By comparing these habits to the requirements of the exam, they can begin to close the gap and build the analytical mindset expected at the CISO level. Building analysis skills also involves rethinking how success is defined. On this exam, the best answer is not always the most detailed or the most technical. It is the one that reflects sound judgment and clear executive priorities. Candidates must learn to interpret context, understand competing goals, and choose responses that best align with organizational strategy. Practicing these decisions in a study setting builds confidence for the exam itself. The answers that earn points on the CISO exam are not necessarily the most technical. They are the most aligned with how executives think. For example, when asked to respond to a data breach, a technical answer might focus on logs and forensics, but an executive answer considers reputation damage, legal risk, and board communication. This difference defines the level of thinking EC Counsel expects. Candidates must avoid getting lost in technical details that do not support strategic goals. They must show that they understand how to lead, not just how to react. Technical correctness is not always enough. A technically accurate solution that fails to consider stakeholder needs, timing, or compliance obligations may lose points. On the other hand, a well-reasoned answer that demonstrates prioritization, strategic clarity, and business impact will likely be rewarded. This reflects the reality that executive leadership is about influence, alignment, and long-term value, not just control implementation. The CISO exam is structured to reward those who approach questions with confidence, clarity, and decision-making maturity. Preparation must reflect this structure. A strong study plan begins by reviewing the cognitive levels expected and assessing personal strengths and weaknesses in each one. For example, some candidates may be strong in knowledge but weaker in analysis. Recognizing this early helps them tailor their study approach. Balancing study across domains is also important. Candidates should not spend all their time on favorite topics or most familiar areas. Instead, they should follow the domain weightings and allocate time based on exam emphasis. This ensures that they are prepared for the full range of questions and not caught off guard by areas they neglected. One of the most effective ways to prepare is by using practice questions that mimic the format and cognitive depth of the actual exam. Simple flashcards or memory games are not enough. Candidates must work through scenario-based items, practice prioritization, and test their ability to synthesize information quickly. This builds the skills needed to succeed in the real exam environment. Self-assessment tools can also help. These include practice exams, study journals, and peer review sessions. Candidates should regularly check their progress and adjust their study plan as needed. Reflecting on incorrect answers and understanding why they missed them is especially valuable. It reveals patterns and helps correct misunderstandings before exam day. Finally, cognitive insights should shape every part of preparation. By knowing which types of thinking the exam values, candidates can make better study decisions, select more useful materials, and build habits that support executive-level reasoning. This alignment increases their chance of passing the exam and performing well in the executive role beyond it. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Bare Metal CyberSafe CISO Prepcast. For more episodes, tools, and study support, visit us at baremetalcyber.com.